don't want that, I don't want that, I don't want that. And then that's what you're attracting. And you don't even mean to, because you're so focused on what you don't want and not focused on...
We gotta talk about that.
But let's get into it then. Let's get...
Hey everyone, I'm Keisha Charmaine and I'm back with my friend Ty of Live to Be Recognized podcast.
Hey y'all, it's your girl Ty with Live to Be Recognized. I am too corny with it, but hey, what's up y'all? I'm so excited to be here.
So my OG subscribers have probably seen you before, right? We've had some videos from back in the day. Maybe I'll plug one up above so you guys can reflect. So tell us about your podcast. What kind of podcast is it?
So Live to Be Recognized is my brainchild, my soul child. It's a podcast that I call a self-help podcast. I'm just kind of doing an open diary to the world that got me out of being like lower vibrational and like transitioning through life, through adulthood, and not truly understanding everything, but also trying to navigate in a way that's best for you. So that's why I call it Live to Be Recognized. Live to be recognized for yourself, first and foremost. And I add a little comedy in it. I am spiritual, so I add a little spirituality twist to it as well. And at the end of the day, like, I just want people to realize that you're not the only ones out here, you know, going through this. We all have our own tools and techniques, but you always have to continue to live for yourself.
Yes, indeed. And she has several episodes right now, so you guys can binge it.
Yes, please do.
Yes, definitely. And then this is part 1. So when we're done, we will refer you to part 2, which is going to be on her platform, of course.
Yes.
So today, what are we talking about? Manifesting?
Manifestation. Something that's became quite popular, I would say, within the past, like, 5 years. I feel like it grew, like, immensely. Like,
it sure did. It sure did. I feel like as we're, like, stepping into, like, the age of Aquarius for real, we've been opening our minds as a collective into our spirituality and our power. So, when was like the first time that you learned about your ability to manifest? Do you remember?
You know what's so funny is that obviously we've been doing this for quite some time, and meaning when I say quite some time, even as a child, but you didn't have a word for manifesting, right? You didn't know the term. So thinking back like many moons ago, I would say, this is so corny, but my superlative in high school.
What was your superlative in high school?
Y'all don't laugh. Most likely to be famous.
Okay.
So the reason why I say that is because like that wasn't even like a real category, I don't think, like for the past couple of years or whatnot. And I didn't work on yearbook or anything like that. And it happened to become like a newer category when I was a senior. And I was like, ooh, I want that. And people were like, what would you be famous for? And I'm like, I don't know. I just want that, you know, I just want that or whatever. And not that I didn't campaign or anything like vote for me. And I ended up getting that superlative. So thinking back, like the first time, I didn't have a term for it, but that is somewhat of a small manifestation, but definitely was one.
Okay. Well, I know I first heard about manifesting when The Secret was featured on like Oprah's Book of the Month Club or whatever, because my mom, she was into that, and she bought the book and I read it and I'm like, oh, this is cool, but I didn't really pay any mind. It was just something I thought about, and I was trying the techniques in the book. It wasn't necessarily working out for me. It didn't really click yet. But just later on in life, like as I was going through my early 20s into my late 20s, is when I was really learning and like actually experiencing my like intentional manifesting. Right. And like it really is really not a new concept at all. Like especially with us, we have Christian backgrounds, right? Like we're always told, you know, like this power in the tongue, like that's how it's referred to in the Bible, right? But that's exactly what manifesting is, like knowing the power in what you say and what you think, what you believe. Right. So I think that's like my foundation. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, it's so funny. You went in a whole different direction as far as your foundation and me talking about my first time. But that wasn't my foundation, guys. I was just giving an example. Yeah. And people, you have to realize, you know, when you manifest, sometimes when you put that energy out there and it's something that you don't want, you can manifest that as well. Like if you're like, I really don't want this type of person as like my partner. I really don't want that. I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't want that. And then that's what you're attracting, and you don't even mean to, because you're so focused on what you don't want and not focused on.
We gotta talk about that.
What? Let's get into it then. Let's get.
It's crazy. You know, it's crazy because like this guy I was talking to recently. I really, really liked him, and the more I would get to know him, the more I was seeing his life kind of mirrors somebody else's life. And I was like, how? How did this happen? Because
you knew so badly you didn't want that again.
Yeah.
And because you so much focused on that energy should have went towards what you see and what's abundant towards you.
Yeah.
Instead of what you don't want. Because the universe gets very confused.
Yes. And I was actually talking to my therapist, and my therapist was telling me that like, the reason why you're feeling certain ways is because you're really like holding on to the past. And I'm like, am I?
Yes.
So like you're not gonna really be able to like manifest something brand new and something greater unless you're able to like let go of that.
That's really, really important to let it go, because if you don't let it go, like once again, that energy is still within you, and it's easier said than done, right? Like if that was the case, we will all be living, our best, imagined life. But anyways, besides the fact is that it's like exercising. Like you can let the thought happen, but then you got to learn to instantly release it. Let it happen, instantly release it. And then soon enough, it's going to be gone.
Yeah, you'll stop. Like you just phase it out. Yeah, so that's something I'm working on. But honestly, I'm not even trying to focus on that right now. Like I'm focusing on my business.
Yes.
Girl. That's what I'm working on manifesting.
Yes. Heard you.
Yeah. So I see like on social media especially, what's really popular right now is the idea of the self-concept. Have you heard the term?
Elaborate.
I believe Neville Goddard, he's like one of those the grandfather teachers of manifesting and such. He, and like the law of attraction, law of assumption, there's an idea that your self-concept is what really manifests. So your self-concept is how you identify, how you believe yourself to be.
Correct.
How you exist in this world. And that is what actually manifests.
Right.
So if you want to be this 7-figure multi-millionaire business owner, but you are playing video games all day, you know that you're playing video games all day. So even though you tell yourself you want to be this multi-millionaire, a multi-millionaire is not doing that all day. That's not what multi-millionaires are doing. So your actual self-concept is probably of someone who's stagnant playing video games all day.
Right.
So you're not going to be able to manifest that business. So what I find is most important, like for me, like because that's where I'm trying to get. I'm trying to get to that multi-millionaire girl.
You will, and you are claiming it.
That's a fact. And so I've been like talking to myself more often, like Keisha, like okay, what would that multi-millionaire mommy be thinking? What would she be doing? Like when I go to sleep, before I go to sleep, I'm like talking to myself. I'm telling myself affirmations like, Keisha, you a goddess, right? And money is in love with you. So I find that it's really important to really like pep myself up in those talks to myself before I go to bed.
Yes.
Because that is when our brain is in a certain wave. Yes. So like you're more receptive to those affirmations, you know what I mean? Like that's when our subconscious is really listening. So, and I find that like I wake up feeling a lot better when I do that, when I remember to do that. Because sometimes I'll forget to do it and then I'll wake up and not feel as great. Because personally, I'm a night person. I'm not a morning person. So I'm not the type of person who wakes up feeling like, yes, I'm ready to tackle the day. No, I wake up like...
I'm a morning person.
You are?
I'm very much a morning person, girl.
Have you always been that way?
Probably not. I don't know. When we lived together in school, I don't remember, but for as much as I can remember, yeah, morning person. Yeah.
I feel like you're probably a morning and night person.
I guess it depends on where I gotta apply my energy.
Right.
But majority of the time, I would say 75% I'm a morning person. Like, I like waking up at like 5. If I could wake up earlier, I would.
I did not know this about you.
Yeah, well, the more adult version.
I guess. Yeah, but so I'll be like so inspired in the nighttime. I'll be up late, you know, writing and got my ideas and working and stuff, and then you know, I'm able to be in a good mood to like pep myself up before I go to sleep. And then when I wake up after I did that, I'm ready to start the day. I'm ready to take on the day. And that helps me. And I like to look for little signs that
of course,
things are coming together.
Me
like,
too.
What do you look for? Anything in particular?
Angel numbers. Like, I'm big on angel numbers. I would say that was my first step into like understanding everything and understanding manifestation to what it is right now. And today is angel numbers and like studying angel numbers, and also not just the typical triple digits. Like, when you see different combos of numbers, it's different messages. Yes. And a lot of people don't know that. Like, obviously everyone knows 11, 11, 1, 1, 1. That's the beginners. That's like opening to you, letting you know, like, we here. And then you'll start seeing more and more in different combos and different things that signify. But one thing, I didn't want to forget this thought when you were talking regarding at night, you know, I don't usually do that, which I'm going to start doing. I'm more, when I wake up in the morning, immediately meditate.
Okay.
Because they say that's the best way to manifest and meditate, because your mind is its clearest at that point. Because think about it, you may get up, maybe you have to use the bathroom. I'm just saying, use the bathroom. Then you're like, oh, let me just check something real quick. And then you have all these other thoughts before you went into your state of meditation. So they recommend that as far as, and I do that as far as for my manifestation and what I want to tackle the day with.
Okay. I was like doing that like in the beginning of the year. That was one of my resolutions, but I fell off. But
whatever works for you, you know, whatever works for you.
I would like to do both because actually I did read that the same brainwave state that you're in right before you go to sleep is the same wave state that you wake up with.
Exactly.
So that makes sense. It makes sense that that's the best time to try to manifest.
Yes.
So.
Yes. And also to piggyback on what you were saying earlier about living as if you are already that. That's why they say to almost live a little delusional. You do have to be a little delusional.
Oh, I'm very delusional.
And
I'm my Pisces already, so I'm already like naturally delusional. So.
And honestly, think about it. Like, when you hear some of these people's stories who you may consider successful, sometimes it's like, what? Like, besides the hard work part, a lot of the times they are a little delusional. Like, seriously, and they tell their beginning of their story. But we see, you know, them already crossed over. But when they're in that stages, you're like, what? Like, okay. And what else do you have to lose? You've gone this long without being like delusional. Maybe not. Maybe some of you guys have been in your life. Yeah. But for us that, you know, this is newer to, just what do you have to lose? You've been living without being delusional, so just give it a chance and manifest. And also, energy is important too. You can't be like low in your energy, low vibrational, trying to manifest. Not gonna work.
And I've tried that. And like I put myself in like a really like toxic positivity state, and that just made me burst out into tears one day randomly. Like I don't remember why specifically, but I was in a worse mood. But I'm trying to like tell myself, oh Keisha, you're great, it's all good, you know, everything. And I just started crying.
Talk a little bit more about that toxic positivity, because I don't think a lot of people exactly know what it is and maybe are doing it and don't realize that they're doing it.
You see, you know, I think that term is used a lot when people just push positive cliches, you know, but sometimes it's important to accept that you're not doing well right now. Like life is all about the ups and downs, ebbs and flows, you know, and we're really supposed to walk through it all, accept it all. And the more that you resist like the negative emotions, the more it's going to just, and that's why I started crying. That time, like I didn't want to feel the negative, although I know I felt it. I didn't want to accept it. So I'm just like, it's all good. But then I looked at myself in the mirror real quick and started crying. I'm like, oh God. Then I was like, enough of that. Just accept I'm not feeling great.
You need to release that energy.
Yeah.
It's like you thought you were like helping it, but it was really just inside of you. That was honestly yourself releasing it all.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. And like my favorite way to release those like sucky feelings is through journaling. Mm-hmm. But that's also my favorite way to pray too. Like I'm just a writer in general.
Right.
And I learned like to pray differently.
Yeah. Oh, we got to talk about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know,
do not beg.
And that's the thing.
Do not beg.
That's like our like natural instinct, right? To beg God, please, God, please give me this. God, please, God.
I promise you, and stop doing that.
Oh yes. Oh, I'll stop eating junk food forever.
I promise
if you give me this. I'll stop eating junk food. I know that's what I said before many times. Oh, I'll stop eating junk food. I'll stop drinking.
Oh my gosh.
Child.
Stop, please.
God don't want to hear that. God said ask somebody else to do it. Get somebody else to do it. So I learned to instead start just writing in like the form of gratitude. Like just like thank you God, because I know that I'm gonna get this.
Correct.
So thank you for it. Just everything is gratitude.
Exactly.
It's all gratitude.
I do that as well. You have to show not only gratitude but grace to yourself too. That's very hard to do because we are our biggest cheerleader, but also our biggest critic.
Yeah. So
with that being said, you also have to do it with grace and patience. Okay? Think about it. And sometimes you manifest stuff and you forget about it, you let it go into the universe, and it will come back to you. And when it comes back to you, think about those times you're like, man, I'm glad it came at this time because I was not ready for it. If I would have had that, said time ago. As an example, I got my dream occupation at a time that I was happy I got it. But when I thought I wanted it before, I was not in the mental capacity to handle that. So, yeah.
That's a word. That's a big word. Because I could think of certain things that I'm manifesting right now, that I'm getting right now, that I've wanted years ago. But getting it now, I even still feel like I'm not even all that prepared.
Right.
So imagine if I got it back then, I would have blew it.
Right. It's true. It's very true. I think about that with myself as well. Like certain things girl, you wouldn't have not known how to act. And you wouldn't have been grateful too. Because think about it, if the things would have came when you was begging for it and negotiating and stuff, you wouldn't have been grateful. You would have been grateful because that's that. When you think about it, at the end of the day, when you say I promise and all that other stuff, you're negotiating with God, with the universe. For what? What's yours is already yours. Your higher self is telling you, I'm here. Come in alignment. Come to me. But you're just afraid sometimes because it's the unknown. But also, sometimes some of us don't want to go through the unknown and go through the fire. But sometimes the biggest lessons are through that fire.
That's a word. Mm-hmm. And you may get little burns going through that fire, but you'll heal. Strong.
You're going to be so strong. Think about when you went through that fire before, how you were before that, and the strength you gained through it.
Yeah.
That's a different kind of appreciation, which is very deep and very hard to do. But when you're there, you're really like, you know what? I love me. So this is for my growth, and I'm happy I went through it.
That part. That was a great episode.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
Of Keisha Charmaine's channel's version of the Live to Be Recognized podcast.
Yes.
Remember, this is part 1 on manifesting. Make sure you stay tuned for part 2 on
being in alignment and not going back to your old self. Feel free to like and subscribe to this channel, and then also come over to my channel, Live to the number 2, B, the letter B, recognized.
I'll have it on screen right here, and I'll make sure to have all the links down below so you can stream on the other platforms, however you prefer to listen to your podcast. All right? Thank you so much for coming on my channel.
Thanks, Keish.
Thanks for watching. Love, light, and locks.